Welcome to the Coffee Experts Club. If you're at all interested in anything we talk about in this episode, go ahead and check out the description down below, or if you even just want to know more about us, click on the links below. Now on to the episode. Hey.
Yes, Coffee Experts Club. What's going on, boys?
Hello. Happy New Year's to y'all.
Happy New Year's. Ben, your beard is looking good. I mean, it might just be one dude's beard. And I think maybe it's a parameter. Nobody can come on the show unless they have a beard, because Drew, your beard is long. It's looking good.
This is a new dad's lacking self-hygiene as you're taking care of a baby all night. The beard is the first thing to get rid of.
It's been long. It's looking good. Have you had a beard this long before?
It's been longer once, and then I just got rid of it because I was like, it started getting nappy. But now I'm just like, I don't have the time, dude. Throw on a hat. You got a baby in my arms. I don't have time to trim a beard.
So what do you think Drew's excuse was when he went full Amish on us? You remember when Drew got crazy with his beard a few years back? That thing was serious, Drew. And he was doing the twists, right? Didn't you do the twist for a little while, Drew?
I had the twist going on. That was my Texas look.
That's right.
I walked around and everyone thought I was a local.
I love
That's
it.
so great.
Let's just say I'm glad you're not in Texas anymore. How is that? You need to say I didn't like you at the twist. Well, if you look at, I was looking at it the other day because we had some people opt into the myfirstdrivethru.coffee. If you've never checked that out, listeners, I'm so sorry as we talk about beard hygiene. But welcome, coffee experts. Great to have you join us as we talk about beards. But I was thinking the other day when I referenced somebody to go check out myfirstdrivethru.coffee, our free masterclass, 4 hours of content of us walking you through everything you need to know about opening your first coffee shop, totally free. You've got the twist in it. I think we used the twist on one of the pictures. I think the Amish look is actually part of that landing page. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You're welcome.
You look so like third wave. We're like, whoa, look at Drew. He's so bougie.
That's great.
Yeah, I also look like I'm 40 already.
Anyway, boys, I thought it would be a great time of year for us to talk with coffee shop owners about prices. You know, Washington State, Ben, we came on talking about minimum wages rising in Washington State, even down in Belize, minimum wages rising in Belize. And I think as costs begin to increase, I think it's really important for us to realize either our profitability drops or we have to raise prices, right? Like nobody feels good about raising prices. Nobody likes to hear customers say, wow, what happened to the price of my drink? You know what I mean? But the reality is as commodities rise, as labor rises, there's really only a couple things you can do to control the levers of your profitability. And one of those things is consistent adjustment to your menu price. And I don't think you should just gouge people, but at the same time, like I know Drew and us, like our tax burden is going to start to rise here very quickly, which is great. It means we're more successful. We're doing better as a business, but man, either we're just going to take that in the shorts or we've got to pass along some of that tax burden. So tell me what you guys think about that.
Yeah, I mean, here in Washington, and I think Oregon and California kind of follow suit too. It's almost, if you're going to be operating here in the Northwest, it kind of needs to be baked into the system. Because I know specifically here in Washington, it goes up every year. So you kind of have to expect that, hey, prices need to go up on a consistent basis, which sucks. For the consumer, but it's just kind of a reality of operating on this side of the U.S. So it's not something that you want to just say hey, let's go a couple years without doing this. Let's go let's just ignore it for now, because like you said, you're gonna be taking that profitability hit on the pants. And like we've said time and time again, when you do, your hand is eventually forced to raise prices. That's going to hurt even more for the customer, because their Americano is going to go from $1.50 to $3.50. That's way more painful than going from $1.50 to $1.95.
Ben, you and I just had this exact conversation with a different client, with one of our coffee clients. Of she hadn't been keeping an eye on price raising, and then now she's going to have to try and accommodate it, and it's going to, the customers are really going to feel it because she didn't stay on top of adjusting prices consistently, so that it didn't feel like such a jump when she had to change.
Yeah, you really, especially in today's economy in the U.S., you really need to be swimming with the fish, because everybody is getting hit from so many different directions of like just, even still getting hit with like by pricing everywhere. Even go to the grocery store, still it's like, holy cow, it costs this much. And so you don't want to be the one who stands out the most. You don't want to be the one where the consumer is going to the grocery store like, oh God, again. They're going to the car wash, they're like, oh God, again. And they go get their coffee and they're like, holy cow, what? Like, you need to kind of swim the fish. You have to be part of the tide that's lifting all those prices up. Otherwise, you stand out and you end up being the first one cut from people's routines. If it seems like you're the most expensive thing in their routine, their daily life, you're probably going to be the first one where they go, okay, maybe I could just brew coffee at home. Or maybe I should just get a Keurig, actually, instead of saying, maybe I don't need a car wash next week. Or maybe, I don't need to go to the movie theater this weekend. Like, you want to kind of slide underneath notice to people noticing price increases, because it's just so tight out there right now economically, and people are watching their wallets.
And I mean, there's telltale signs. We don't just raise prices because we want to. We raise prices because we have to. We have percentages, we have margins, we have cost of goods we have to keep an eye on. Some of the signs is that our cost of goods are rising, and which of our vendors are raising their prices, and at what time of year is that happening? And that's not just happening to you. That's happening across the board. That's happening, like you said, in your grocery stores. And so the telltale signs are that your margins are shrinking, and if you don't want to have to make a massive overcorrection, the minor corrections are the way to go. Stay ahead of the curve.
Yeah, I mean, because there's no way around, like, rising tide should lift all ships, right? Minimum wage increases and people can be like, well, come on, Aaron, that's not even your whole labor force. But it's like, no, but if the baseline lifts, like, they start bumping into what the system manager makes, and then that starts bumping into what the manager makes. You know what I mean? So it's like rising tide is going to lift all labor at some level. Like, each cop shop has to determine what does a minimum wage hike change. But I think that largely it's going to probably increase your labor, if not just at that bottom tier, probably across the whole tiering system. And I think that you have to take that in consideration, because labor is part of your cogs at some level. Like, no, you can't just, we're not machines. You can't just show up and push a button and get coffee. You know what I mean? Like, you can't at some of the airports in Seattle. I think that, it is a real thing that we need barista labor, and that should affect it. Which, by the way, I wanted to give just a call out to our boy Trav. Look at the news. Look at the new cups, dude. Our guy's doing great. I'm not saying that Travis made me late for Coffee Expo. Mountain Coffee doing a great job with their cups, especially as we're looking at cups down in Belize and De Los Mayas. I think it's always exciting to see somebody else doing cool things with their cups.
No, you make a good point about labor, because I remember even back in the roasters days, like, our starting barista wage is when Washington State implemented basically a yearly increase in minimum wage, and they did it really aggressively in those early years. And our starting barista wage within just about 3 years or so became our starting manager wage. What we were paying our managers at that time is what minimum wage brought it up to. So you can't just say, well, it's just minimum wage. I've got 10 minimum wage baristas. It's fine. It's no big deal. No, it starts there, but also you have to raise your assistant manager or your lead wages, because then what's the point of doing that? Which means you then also have to lift your location manager wages, because what's the point of being a location manager if I could just be a barista and make the same amount? Which then, if you have a regional manager in place, then you have to be looking at salaries and wages for your. So it climbs up the ladder really quickly. You can't really just say it's just the minimum wage barista, because like you said, it lifts all ships, which means that you now have to look at a COGS increase company wide. And if you're okay with eating that, again, you can try and eat that. That's totally up to you. If you want to shrink your margins and just, and not have to raise prices on your consumer, but you still have the other side of the coin where it's okay. But at some point, if you want to stay in business, you will have to raise prices. And do you want to feel that pain really sharply all at once and lose a lot of people? Or do you want to kind of dull that pain and just go along with the rest of the fish in the sea as they're raising prices?
It's good. So I think that, Ben, to face this, I think there's two different ways you can look at how do you raise your prices, right? Because that's the next questions. Great. So you convinced me. I want to make sure that I stay in line, swim with all the fishes. I love Ben's analogy. I want to swim. So how do I swim? How do we make that work? We would recommend two different techniques. The first one is look at your menu and what goes into the price on your menu. Ben, you created an incredible tool around this that we would love to give to our guests. Maybe tell them a little bit about your menu creation tool.
Yeah, it was just born out of the idea, specifically from this conversation, actually, years and years ago, because of the way that Washington State was implementing minimum wage laws. We were having this exact conversation of, okay, we don't want to raise prices, but we were pretty sure payroll is going to just eat up a huge profit margin. what can we do? And it kind of boiled down to, well, how do we make this decision? Because we know how much we're charging for the drinks, and we kind of know how much a drink costs us, but do we know down to the penny? Because this is what we were talking about, like, how can we keep this price increase as low as physically possible? Like, can we just do the bare minimum of raising these prices just to kind of eat up that new minimum wage rise? And so what I realized is we didn't really know how much our drink cost in explicit detail. How much is a straw? How much is a lid? How much is a paper cup? How much is a plastic cup? How much is a 32-ounce lid? How much is a 12-ounce lid? How much is 6 ounces of milk? How much is 4 shots of espresso? How much is 2 ounces of flavor? How much is 4 ounces of flavor? How much does it cost me in labor to take 90 seconds to create a drink? And all of this was just like, let's get down to the exact penny that we need to know about how this costs, because then we can go, okay, if it costs us 67 cents to make this drink, and we're going to charge $2.67. That means I can make $2 in profit. Great. Okay. If our labor is going up by, say, 10 cents, okay, I know exactly how much I need to raise the price on this drink so that I just eat up that labor and I don't hurt the customer and hurt their wallet. Which it came down to a really nerdy, really interactive Google Sheet, which is the tool that you're talking about. But I highly recommend everybody do something like this, because if you just kind of know, like, yeah, our drinks cost like $2 or 90 cents or whatever it is, then you're just kind of losing money also, because you just kind of know how much your drinks should cost instead of actually knowing how much they should cost.
Yeah, and I think that I think the really nerdy version that you talked about, we actually included in Coffee Experts Academy. But I think that you made it a little bit simpler. If those of you listening are thinking like, "Oh my gosh, that sounds so freaking nerdy. I don't know that I can get into all that." I think we created a first pass, didn't we, Ben? And that's what we're going to give everybody today. Is like, this is a little bit of an easier breakdown of, hey, at least make sure if you don't want to get crazy on lid costs, like, this is a viable that you need to make sure at least this is covered. If you want the nerdier version, for sure, we give it away inside of Coffee Experts Academy as being part of a member to that. But I think that if they wanted a free one, the free one's a little bit simpler, right? Like, it was just like, I think a couple of like 3 or 4 line items.
Yep, and it's set up to be super easily customizable by you. All you got to know is, how much does a gallon of your milk cost? How much does a bottle of your syrup cost? How much does a bottle of your sauce cost? And you just type that in on the sheet. $1.75 for a gallon or half gallon of milk, $7.95 for a bottle of syrup, and then the sheet will just push that out and do all the math for you, and they'll break all of those apart so you can see, oh, this drink is actually costing me X amount. But you just need to grab an invoice. Grab one of your dry goods or your dairy invoices and type in a couple numbers there.
Or better yet, push to the one of the kids that works for you, right? We've been talking about Delegate Elevate for a long time, right? This is a great project that you could push off somebody. If you're interested in that free tool, you can check it out. It's menu.coffeeexpertsacademy.com. You can check it out there. We would love to give that away to you for free. And then if you want like the more robust, you want to get crazy nerdy on it, you can join the Coffee Experts Academy, and we give you tons. I think it'd be something like 30 free tools or something that we give, tools we're using for coffee shops every single day as we're working with customers. So if you're interested in that, you can always check out Coffee Experts Academy. But if you're interested in that tool, menu.coffeeexpertsacademy.com, and you can get that one for free. So that's the first one, right? Like, battle test it with your cogs. But then, Drew, there's a second thing that we recommend people do, and that is price hunt your competition. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, sorry, it's a little loud in here.
It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that we do for multiple reasons. Pricing is one of them. Quality is another one. I love to go have a nice cup of coffee somewhere else that I don't like, so I can say I didn't like it very much.
I was gonna say, you never say nice by the time that you're done. Drew is the worst. I went around coffee tasting with Drew to a competition. He made the best faces ever, Ben.
Luckily, I can't put my face in the review online, so. Yeah, I mean, making sure that you are serving things at the same level as the people around you is important. You want to be competitive, and I remember when we made that switch from roasters, from being the affordable ones to being like balancing what we're serving as a quality drink with what we're charging for that quality drink. We knew that there were aspects of our business that were a step above, like our service, the expertise that our baristas had about the products that we were serving. So we were raising up the pricing so that it matched that. And I think that customers, when you do bring other value to the table, like great service, knowledgeable baristas, a good experience. That price hike isn't quite as painful for them. But yeah, I mean, go around, see what other people are charging, buy a couple of items,
Hmm.
taste the drinks, spend some time in their environment. I mean, it's all important for market research. Later, buddy.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, so I know we were talking about him a little before the show, but Jarek from Swag up in Tri Cities, owner, right? Straight drives around and orders drinks and takes pictures of menus, and like the competition knows him. Like what can they say when he comes through? And so if you're a little bit nervous about it, you're like, I don't know if I want to do that. Listen, you got to get over some pride. You got to get over some ego. Like you need to know what are people charging and how you're lining up to make sure you can make educated decisions. Because here, this the thing is, we've all been to coffee shops that are just it's very clear they're not making it right. Like either
Hmm.
it's dirty or the service is bad, or like they're pulling some kind of shisty ways of how they're making drinks, and you're like, oh, this is. And so then the pricing may look good, but you're paying for that, right? Like that, you're actually paying for that in other ways, right? And usually it's the experience that Drew had when he would pour out one of the competition's coffees as we were right outside the coffee shop. I'm like, don't pour it out right outside the coffee shop. But I think that, like, realistically, like, I think it's super smart. Like, once a quarter, swing around, make sure your prices are lining up. Look at your specialty drinks and how they stack up. I think it also is great as you're ordering drinks, like you're putting money into their business. It's not like you're just being a punk and just taking pictures of menus. I mean, like, put money
Hmm.
into the business. Be like, I would say, as much as you can, learn to speak well of your competitors. Like it makes us all better when we all are charging towards being the best we can be. And I think we all have a little bit of a unique cut on how we do things. I would highly recommend battle test your pricing based upon your neighbors, and then decide where do you want to hit the line. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Are you hard bent on you have to be the cheapest? You know what I mean? Could you come in somewhere in the midline, or do you offer such a premier experience that you're okay being a little bit higher than everybody else because you know your seating is beautiful, you know that your whatever complements your coffee is also beautiful, and you know that your service is excellent? Well, then you are a premier thing. Like Nordstrom is not trying to compete with Target. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like that, and there's a reason for that, right? The Nordstrom's experience is a premier experience. It's not, they're not trying to be an everyday shopper experience. And there's some coffee shops out there that they're like, hey, we're not trying to drive for volume, we're trying to drive for quality. And I mean, I think that was Resilience game, right? Went back in the day when Roasters had
Hmm.
their roastery as a separate brand, and it was like, no, this is the premier. If you want just standard coffee, that's great. Roasters creates some standard coffee, but if you want pour overs with a dude with a big old beard named Alfie, then man, head up to Resilient, and you're gonna get the bougie fun avocado toast with flan pour over, because that was the bougie experience, and you're going to pay for it.
Yep. Yep. I will say there's I can't understate enough about knowing what your competition is pricing, because even if you have to raise prices, you want to raise in line with them, but you also don't know if you can undercut any of their prices if you don't know what they're charging. We, for example, we created our own energy drink. We created our own frat mix, which took our energy drink costs and blended drink costs through the floor. It was
Mm-hmm.
so cheap for us to make them after we made that decision. One of the first things I did was, how much is everybody else charging for energy drinks? Can we
Right.
cut ours by $1? Can
Right.
we undercut, or can we do happy hours that make these energy drinks so stupidly cheap, but still a giant profit margin for us, that people go, why would I go to Dutch Bros and pay $6 for this? I can go to Roasters and get it for $2.50.
Yeah.
Like, you can't make those kind of decisions. You can't be that sort of forward thinking if you don't even know what they're charging. So yes, the price increases suck, and it's that time of the year we have to do that. But also think of the other side of it too: is how can I stay competitive with these people? I don't want to just always be raising prices because everybody's raising prices and it sucks all the time. If I have to do it, that's great. But if I can also cut underneath them and I have the cogs, the cost of my cogs to do that, I have to know what they're charging, because if I can pull a bunch of high school kids over to my shop on
Yep.
lunch break instead of to the Dutch Bros or to Starbucks, let's do that too. Let's be on the offensive about your menu pricing instead of just always being defensive about, oh, I got to change, oh, I got to update. Be offensive about it.
It's good. I like that, Ben. That counterbalances the whole thing, right? Yeah, price increases coming with labor. That's going to probably affect your pricing. But have we experienced an amazing price drop? Well, let's offer that back to somebody too, and maybe offset some of the
Mm-hmm.
load. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
super smart. Well, gentlemen, another episode of Coffee Experts Club. Drew, I expect you to grow out your beard a little fuller next time. So you keep up with me and Ben. Coffee Experts, just know you can send us pictures online of your beards, and we will give you ratings on what we think your beards are. All right. Coffee Experts, thanks for showing up today, and we'll see you next week here on Coffee Experts Club.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.